Hello, Luke Michael Howard, clinical hypnotist and owner of Hypnosis Hypnosis, here with one of my past clients, Carolyn, who's going to share her story of work with me and why she came to see me. So, how you doing, Carolyn?
Well, thank you.
Awesome. So, hey, let's begin. First of all, kind of, what was it that made you book with me?
Well, I was dealing with what I eventually learned was microcolitis, and after I found that out, I did some research and read that quite a high percentage of people suffering from microcolitis had had a major trauma in the past 5 years, and I included myself among those people, and so I tried some counseling, which was, well, as I said to somebody the other day, was a little bit like watching paint dry. I wasn't making much progress. So, and then I remembered you, and I had met you at a health conference at some point at the Green Living Show, I think was one of the places.
Yeah, I think it was like an expo.
Quite a lot of years ago, and because of that, we had I received all your what are they called? Monday sessions.
Mindset Monday video.
So I knew who you were, and I thought of you, and I've always been interested in what you do, and so I phoned you and thought I would add that to my repertoire of getting back on the mend. And
excellent. So with the microcolitis, do you want to tell us, like, in a couple of sentences, what that is and how it affects you, or how it affected you, to the layperson who doesn't know what it is?
Right, and it's relatively, I wouldn't say it's new, but because in order to diagnose it, you need to have a biopsy. In the past, a lot of microcolitis patients were told they had irritable bowel because they hadn't checked. So I had a colonoscopy and then a biopsy, and then so that was diagnosed. The symptoms vary a little bit from person to person, but on the whole, it's just diarrhea, like life-changing diarrhea. Lost a ton of weight, felt miserable, and couldn't really go out.
Yeah.
So basically, that's it.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of inflammation of the large intestine and colon.
Okay. And you'd been suffering with the symptoms for about 3 to 6 months before we started working together. Is that right?
Yeah, 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
By the time I came to you, 6 months, yeah.
Typically, when people find me, they've tried a bunch of other stuff. I'm not the first thing. So I'm curious, what other methods, including medical stuff and holistic stuff, what other stuff had you tried to, stuff being a technical word, had you done to try and alleviate the symptoms of this with you?
Well, I hadn't. After I got the results from the gastroenterologist, that had, for some reason that I never did work out, took over a month just to get the results, and
okay, wow.
And then I had to wait again because the gastroenterologist wanted me to go on a steroid medication, which is the kind of standard way of treating it, and in order for me to be covered by that, he had to get right away and so forth, and that took over a month. So I just realized I couldn't wait any longer, and I went to a what are they called? Isn't that silly? Never mind. Not a doctor, but not a homeopath. We're going to have to go back.
All right, I'll come back to you later on.
Yeah, we're going to have to change that because it's no good.
Okay.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
We'll call them the specialists for now until that name conjures up.
Okay. Fine, and so he started me on intravenous vitamin C for the inflammation and so forth. So
Okay.
I was already sort of treating the problem with his guidance
Yeah.
when I got in touch with you.
Sure. And when you got in touch with me, if memory serves me right, when I asked you, like, on the symptoms scale of 0 to 10, 10 being like, this is the worst this thing can be for me. 0 is actually it's not really affecting me at all. I made it all up. Do you remember what number you said of the badness scale?
I can't remember, but I think I probably said about an 8.
So it's pretty, even though you was doing some stuff to, a multidisciplined approach, if you will, to dealing with it, it was still very high up there, the symptoms.
Oh yes, yes. But I had only just started that treatment, which
Yeah,
I know that people have got better.
for sure.
Naturopath.
There you go. I told you it'd come back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yes, that's right. So I was already started, but I hadn't been very long.
yeah. What were your thoughts on hypnosis, hypnotherapy, coaching? What was your thoughts about all of this kind of stuff that I do before we worked together?
Well, I had used it once many years ago to stop smoking
Okay.
before people were doing that quite so much,
Yeah.
um, and it to me it was just another way of healing.
Mm,
Uh, but I like it because it doesn't take years.
yeah.
You know, I just felt I didn't want to, at this stage of my life, wait too long. I had too many things to do.
For sure. Okay. How would you describe your experience of working with me? Because we worked together for 3 sessions,
Well,
didn't we?
it was actually quite fun. Um, uh, uh, and I couldn't really uh, decide when it had worked and when it hadn't.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just had to let myself fall into the process,
Mm,
and um, and and that's what I did. So, but I do know that after we finished the third session, it was only a matter of like maybe 5 days or something where I started to realize that there was a physical change in my bowel movements and
okay.
it's slow. It didn't happen overnight, but I
Yeah.
definitely I definitely knew that things were changing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so yeah.
Excellent. And how did you feel after our sessions together? I know you mentioned before sometimes, oh, I didn't know if it worked, whatever. But if you can recall back, we did about 3 sessions together. How did you generally feel at the end of a session?
Um, well, I felt didn't actually wasn't aware of feeling any different.
Hmm.
I was just optimistic that this was something, because I had done a fair bit of reading about this beforehand, and you had read to me from that book, these Encyclopedia of Ailments,
Yeah.
which really that was quite convincing for me that you
Yeah.
could you could hit the nail on the head so easily.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little book out there that was a big book, actually, about 1,000 pages, where it has pretty much every physiological issue in it in alphabetical order, and the psychological triggers and the underpinning unresolved negative emotions. And I read it to some of my clients when they come in, especially with a physical ailment. Um, and typically, most of them will be like, that's me. I never thought I
Yeah,
didn't resolve this emotion or this thing. It's like it's speaking to me, which is really weird. But yeah, I read from it. Gives me a bit of a more understanding of the underpinning, because there's so
yeah.
many physiological disorders, disabilities, illnesses, and ailments out there.
Well, I knew of this. I knew about this because I've read a number of other books and listened to uh, various people talking, and um, and I know that it's a fact. I
Yeah,
mean, often a doctor can tell you quite a bit about yourself from what you've gone to see, because of the reason you've gone to see him.
For
It's
sure.
interesting. So I think I just put you in that same category, as a
Beautiful.
person who, can
Yeah. So
sort of.
when you think about your life now and everything you've come through and the changes that you've made, what are you most looking forward to next?
Joy.
Joy.
I lost it there for a while.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't complain because I'm 77 and I've had a lot of joy in my life. But having experienced it, when it's not there, you miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me. Have you seen? Are you a Disney fan? Do you like Disney movies?
Yes.
There's a movie, and my girlfriend keeps trying to get me to watch it, and I quote it all the time, but I've never watched it. But I know the story arc and what it's about intrinsically, but I haven't ever watched it. It's called Inside Out. Came out
No, I
within the
don't know
last
it.
5 years, and you might like this. I still need to watch it. So basically, what it is, I think it's a child, and in the child has 4 different characters inside them. There's a character that represents anger. There's one that represents sadness. There's one that represents anxiety. There's one that represents envy, guilt, and there's one that represents joy. And do you know what color the joy one is? Guess.
How long it is? Did you say
How
how long?
what color the joy character is?
Red.
Yellow. Red is anger. So in any
Oh, right, yellow. Yeah,
yeah.
I actually, that's interesting because I was reading a thing about people who paint their front doors yellow.
Oh,
So, so that when they arrive home, that they have that reaction. Yeah,
oh, that's
interesting.
really interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure that the experts at Disney, they got some probably color psychologists in. Different colors will elicit different
yeah,
emotions in people. That's interesting. And basically, the story of the movie is everyone feels everything, right? But at only one time can you feel one of these emotions at its highest level. So when the kid is really angry, we say in psychological terms, the anger is in the executive position. So when anger's sitting in the chair, sitting in a driving chair, joy can't come in, envy can't come in, happiness can't come in, sadness, it's anger. So and then envy will come in, but when envy's in, anger can't come in, fear can't come in. Only one of those emotions can be executive sitting, steering the person's outlook. So the
hmm
idea of the movies is nothing is wrong. It's absolutely healthy to feel all emotions, but you want to have joy in the driving seat as much as possible, because when joy's in the driving seat, joy is driving the bus, so to speak. So if we can get joy in that driving seat more often than not, you're pretty much going to have a nice life, a good life, a
yeah,
well-balanced life.
yeah. And it's. I mean, I don't really know why um, a person. I don't know why that's been the case with me for most of my life, but I'm always grateful for it. Um, when I am aware of other people struggling uh, to find that all the time,
Yeah,
it's a gift. It's a
yeah,
gift, and I have no way of understanding why
yeah,
some people have it and some don't.
yeah. So again, going back to when we first met, your symptoms were affecting you about an 8 out of 10. So today, right now, where would you say you are on that scale now? If 0 is I have no physiological symptoms, and 8 was where you were at when we first began working. I appreciate you did some other stuff as well. Where are you today with all of that? What number would you say, if any number at all?
I would have to say 0.
Really?
But my like the naturopath is kind of blown away at how well I've recovered, and
Yeah.
I'm still having treatment from him, some homeopathic remedies and intravenous vitamin C and
Okay.
glutathione and so forth for inflammation. But that's because he believes that, although I'm not aware of the information any longer, that we want to be sure that it's all cleared up,
For sure. So
because people
0.
do have flare ups with this.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
great. That's awesome. I'm happy
yeah,
to hear.
yeah.
Uh,
No,
uh,
it's amazing.
yeah, well, you're amazing. So I know sometimes when you're taking a multidisciplined approach to dealing with something, sometimes it's a bit difficult to kind of know what that bit was that moved it. And probably the truth is it was a little bit of this, little bit of that, little bit of this, you know, because we're organisms with lots of moving parts, so to speak.
Right.
So I understand, appreciate this is not maybe the easiest question in the world to answer. But if you could, if you could, that'd be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about the stuff that we did, if you could put the other stuff to one side that's helping you beneficial, awesome,
Mm-hmm.
and focus on the kind of stuff that we did as much as that is possible for you, what would you say were the real benefits of kind of us working, insights, shifts or changes that you noticed that you could distribute? It's not even the right word, is it? Attribute to us working together. There you go.
Right. Yeah. Well, I just felt more at peace with the problem that I knew had been affecting me.
Mm,
Uh, I don't feel that it's totally gone away. I think there's more work to be done, and I don't quite know how that's going to manifest itself in the future. But it definitely made me more at peace with the way I was feeling.
mm.
Um, I don't feel that it's not the sort of thing that is going to ever go away. So mostly I have to learn to adjust my thinking about it.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and I think it went a long way to helping me do that. The experience I had with you.
Yeah, excellent. What would you say to people that are out there, they're watching this video and they've got a problem, maybe similar to yours, maybe it's a physiological thing, maybe it's a mental, emotional thing, behavioral thing, but they're out there, they're suffering and they're thinking about fixing stuff, but they've been putting it off. Yeah, you know, tomorrow I'll get some help with it, next week, next month. And they keep putting off, but their problem doesn't go away. It's like a bad smell. Sometimes you just need to go out there and remove the thing that's making a bad smell, because oftentimes it won't go away on its own. So what would you say to the people that are kind of on the fence, they've been putting off getting some help about stuff?
Oh, I'd say get some help. I mean, even if you don't know what you want, what you need, I mean, just let someone help you sort that out. But no, I've been advised by people who have done exactly that, not got the help that they should have got years ago with all kinds of different things, and two or three of them, in their own way, over the time, had told me that I needed to, because I needed to work on that problem
Yeah.
that I was having. Yes, but I don't think everybody is quite so open to the fact of, we'll call it trauma, how all pervasive it can be in a person's life, and it can be, and I think it gets worse as you get older. I think older people sometimes just cling to those terrible things that happen to them, which is just not a nice way to be leaving the planet.
Mm.
You know, you want to do it differently.
Yeah, I think my theory on that is the best time to fix a problem is as soon as you see it. The second best time to fix it, not that people are broken, just a metaphor, is right now.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah,
I agree.
the more time that's in between, and the older we get, the more experiences we have, and the more that neurological pathway in our brain gets grooved, gets lit up in that particular direction of the problem, i.e., we have more days with the problem, the pain and mental, physical, emotional, than days without it. Hence, when I work with a lot of people for pain control, and they've gone the normal means, normal meaning medical and so forth, and it's chronic pain, meaning they've had it for 3 months at least, and it's not going away. And the doctor's essentially like, well, here's the medication. Not much more we can do. We can just manage it, but you're always going to be in pain. And it gets grooving and deeper and deeper and deeper. I've had some clients that have come with chronic back pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, and they'll get to a point where the physiological pain in the moment, we're working together, will disappear. And in my brain, before I started working with a lot of people with chronic pain, it would be like, well, they're going to feel amazing, aren't they? Because they've had this pain for 20, 30 years. When it goes, oh, they're going to feel amazing. I'm going to feel amazing. I did a good job. My ego's going to get big. They're going to feel great. Oh, this is amazing. And they kind of look at me and I'm like, where's the pain now? Let's say they came in an 8 or a 9 and they don't look happy. In fact, they look a bit confused. And
Yes,
that would throw me
they
through
miss it
the,
almost.
say that again.
They almost miss it.
Yeah, it's almost like they're like, it's like, Luke, I've lived with it for so long. It's like a friend. Now, if a friend was like smashing you in the back every day, it's a very abusive friend, right? But sometimes people will be in relationships that are abusive and they get kind of comfortable being in that relationship, even though it's horrible and toxic. And I think sometimes chronic pain can be a bit like that. It becomes like you're more, even though it's horrible, you're so comfortable in knowing I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to have this dull aching pain in the back that when it disappears, it's like, oh shit, now what? There's
Who
a
am I
space.
now?
Yeah, say it again.
Who am I
Who
now?
am I now? What can I do? Yeah, and it sometimes gives people existential, easy for me to say, crisis. I haven't had my coffee today. But then I realized a very important thing was to give people that time to process, to experience walking around with no pain, to make those neurological connections in their brain, so then they can start to feel. Again, it's really training the body, the somatic system, to experience a body without pain, and it's foreign to them because they've lived most of their life with the pain, and now that it's a bit, what's going to happen next, and training people to not have pain and be comfortable, strange as that sounds, with not having the pain.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is it changes relationships. I mean, if you're very dependent on someone, you get to sort of relax with that, and then you don't really need them.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah,
So
it's
I can
interesting, isn't it? It's
understand.
like there's this show I watch called My 600 Pound Life, and it's about people who are over 600 pound or above, morbidly obese, and oftentimes they get to such a stage where they're bedridden. Some of them get to 800-900 pounds, right? They can't move around, but they have enablers, people that would say that they love them, perhaps they do, family members, partners, children, but they're the people that are bringing the junk food, the 10,000 calories a day to the person who's in the bed. And if you interviewed those people, I love them, I don't want them to be upset with me, they need to eat, they can't move. But it's those people that may be well-meaning are enabling. And oftentimes these people, the enablers, family members, partners, whoever's bringing them food, have this fear that if they get healthy and get to a manageable weight for them, my role is going to disappear. They're not going to need me anymore. They're going to divorce me, leave me. And what's going to happen to me? And I don't think for most of them it's a conscious process. They're deliberately doing it, although I think some are. But it's just like, oh, here's my role. Here's my role in this relationship is to bring this person food. And if they're healthy and they're of a reasonable weight, I don't have a role anymore. So it's interesting. It doesn't just affect you.
Yes, it's many facets to these things.
For real, for sure. What would you say was the most important thing that we did together, or the most important realization that you had while we were working together? Could be a technique, could be an insight thing for you, a shift for you, or something different in that wheelhouse.
Yeah, I've thought about that a little bit, and I can't. It was. It just seemed to me that most of the time, all I did was be present. But the time when we did the swan thing with
Oh yeah,
that was pretty interesting to me because I really was determined not to just sort of make myself do something, a movement or anything. I really had to concentrate on not doing anything,
yeah,
so that the message would be genuine.
for sure. So
And that was interesting.
for people who don't know what the swan, or my better version, the cobra, is called, in a couple sentences, so like the person who doesn't know what the heck this is, what was that? What was that? What was the cobra?
Well, that was when you asked me to put my left hand up on the, just like I am now, and then close my eyes basically, and you addressed the situation to my hand,
Yeah.
and used it to guide you with your questions.
And what was your hand, as I was speaking to the hand, it sounds funny, but it's true. What was your hand doing?
Well, I was trying to let it do nothing, just relax.
Okay.
But you were expecting to notice small movements,
Yeah.
which would indicate the answers to your questions, really.
So involuntary movements that on some level you were aware, hey, something's happening, but you weren't deliberately, consciously, as I'm doing now, I'm deliberately lifting up my finger.
Yeah.
Could do that all day, nothing special about that. So bringing up involuntariness in your body that you were aware of but weren't controlling it. When that started to happen and turns and waves, how did that feel to you? The involuntariness of, oh, it's my hand and it's moving by
I was
itself.
very curious, and in some cases, you noticed things that I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't notice all the movements that you did.
Yeah.
And I've studied that a little bit. I put my hand here and to see if every now and then I would do something, but I never seem to when I'm just doing it myself.
Yeah.
So there was something going on, but
Yeah.
beyond me, totally beyond.
When that hand started to turn, how did that feel? Because if memory serves me right, you were looking at it, or I probably got you to open your eyes to look at it, so you saw this weirdness happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was conscious when it moved left
Yeah.
and right. I was. I wasn't conscious of some of the other things that happened.
But when it moved, yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, my eyes were closed most of the time anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when it started to move towards you,
Mm-hmm.
how did that? I know you felt that. How did that feel? Because that's quite a big
How
movement.
did that look? Oh,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I thought, something's going on.
Something's going on.
But to be quite honest, I forgot what was yes and what was no, which was probably a good thing.
Yeah, because we don't want you doing it consciously.
No, I didn't. It was better that I didn't know, I suppose,
yeah.
In a way. Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that was the most fascinating part of it. And the rest of it, to be quite honest, I only remember little bits of it because I just sort of got swept up into the conversation and,
Yeah, and typically
I don't remember the details.
That's a good thing. Hypnosis, like any conversation, right? Meaning, if you recall an hour conversation you had with a friend, you're going to remember bits of it, and there's going to be an awful lot of it you're going to forget. And your friend will be like, "Remember last week when I told you about?" And you're like, "Did you? Oh, I don't remember that. I remember what you said, what you had for dinner the night before, but I don't remember you telling me about X, Y." And hypnosis is very much like that. Like, there'll be stuff that you'll come out and you'll be like, "Oh yeah," but and there'll be other stuff where it's like, "Oh, I don't know what happened there, but something happened because I feel differently and my body involuntarily moved. Don't exactly know what happened, but something sure as heck did." And oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Interesting. Yeah.
So if anyone sees this scary guy with a big beard, long hair, British accent, and 54 tattoos, and he's like, "Oh, this scary guy, I think I need some help, but he scares me. He scares me a little bit. He might come through the screen and like beat me up." If anyone out, but I do need some help. It seems to make a bit of sense what he says. If anyone out there is like that, what would you say to those folks?
Well, I would hope that they'd be seeing you in person by the time. Like, I think that I'm sorry that we missed that. Well, as much as the screen time worked and was fine, I'm very much the sort of person that likes the one-on-one, and I think that there'd be no problem if they were in front of you. But you feel you know someone a little less. I'd met you before, and I'd watched a lot, so I personally had no issues. I've always found you very interesting, and maybe a little child or something who wasn't familiar with black beards and stuff might be, but I'd be surprised if people didn't. I mean, because you exude a kind of a connection, a kind of a gentleness, really, that belies sort of everything else. I think they'd probably just be interested.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hey, is there anything else I forgot to ask you that was really important in the work that we did? that you feel you need to tell anyone?
No, I would say I mean, you would guide people, I know, but almost any problem could be helped in some way by, you know, a conversation and some work with you.
Excellent,
You
beautiful.
know,
Hey, thank you so much, Carolyn, for your little interview. Really appreciate it. Hopefully it will help some
very
people
welcome.
out there get some understanding and get some help from me or someone else. So thank
Yeah.
you so much. Always
Thank you.
believe.
Okay.